The conversation is around buying a property when it's already tenanted and what a buyer needs to look at in those current circumstances. Now, as I was mentioning earlier, having a tenant generates income. So more often than not, if a person's buying a property in order to generate income, having a tenant come along with it is actually a benefit. The only time it's not a benefit is if the person buying the property actually just wants to move into the property and doesn't want a tenant on the property. And then obviously then as a buyer, don't buy the property because you obviously are stuck with the tenant. Now, if you're a buyer and you're buying to invest and you want a tenant on the property and you want to generate income, the best advice I can give you is that you conduct the due diligence or the vetting on the tenant the same way you would as though you were placing this tenant, right? The upside now is that you've actually got historical data, because if this tenant is there at the instance of the current seller, it means that the current seller would and should be able to provide you with bank statements, lease agreements, proof of all the payments received, proof of any issues on the premises. You can inspect the premises. It's like looking directly at your case study. So when you vet a tenant, a new tenant, brand new tenant who has never been on your property before, what happens? You know nothing about them. You don't know what the place they previously left looks like. So this is actually a golden opportunity for an investor, for a buyer, to be able to assess immediately, case study, what this tenant will be like. So it's a great opportunity. You just need to ask for the right information. So what is that? Lease agreements to begin with. You want to know if there's a lease in place and both parties have signed the lease and when this lease is until. Second thing is you want the rent roll or proof of payments. You want to know that this tenant paid timelessly and he paid every month and he paid the correct amount every month. Third thing is you want to see how the tenant keeps the premises. If the premises are neat, tidy, and the condition is still good, then you know you've got a good tenant on your hands. In addition to that, yes, you might want to do some small verification. So for example, if the lease is only 1 month or 2 months old, be careful because it is, for all intents and purposes, a new tenant. So you might just want to re-verify them some of the information that they still have a job, as an example, and just that you're comfortable with them as a tenant. This is obviously prudent just to make sure that you don't inherit a problem and then the consequence and just inconvenient for you as a buyer, it turns out that it's that month that something goes wrong and the tenant stops paying. So you do still want to do some level of vetting, but now you've got historical data to support the overall track record of this tenant. If you're a buyer and you're looking to move into the property and there happens to be a tenant, now obviously you need to look at the lease. If the lease only has 1 month left, that's something worth considering. If the lease has 1 year left, then obviously you're not going to be able to move into the property. So just be very careful though, because I've seen this happen time and time again where people buy properties, they expect the seller to simply give notice, and notice is given, they transfer the property, they go to the property and the tenant now says, oh, sorry, I don't want to move out, or I can't move out. Please give me an extra month or give me an extra 2 months. And now you're at the doorstep with your moving truck. And it's happened time and time again. And now the people refuse to leave. So just be very careful. If you're planning to move into the property, it's a very high risk because if you pack up your stuff, sell your current house, terminate the lease on your side and the tenant doesn't move out, you're in trouble. So just make 100% sure that there's a bit of a period. If there is a tenant there, try not get to a point where you have to move in on that day, or try get the tenant to move out long before you move in. Yes, there's a holding cost consequence, but it's a lot better than getting stuck at the front doorstep with no place to go.